Hey everybody, it's Derek and welcome back to another video sponsored by 365.training. In this video, I wanted to take a look at the new field service mobile application. There's been a lot of changes now and a lot of excitement around it because we now have a Power Platform inspired application. A lot of the questions that we're getting is, well, what's the difference and how does it work and how do you configure it and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully over the course of the next couple of videos, actually, we'll show you everything you ever wanted to know about the new field service mobile application and give you a nice getting started point that you can use to move forward with it. So the first thing you have to do is just kind of make sure that all of your information is set up the way that it should be. And this is really important from a security role perspective, because if you don't have the right security roles turned on, stuff just doesn't work and you can't really get to the application. So the first thing that you're going to actually do is you're going to go into your environment once you have everything set up from a field service standpoint and making sure that you are on the latest and greatest information. Then you're going to go into settings. And for those of you who are maybe new to the Power Platform Admin Center, this is kind of the equivalent of hitting settings in kind of the old Dynamics 365 user interface. This really gives you all your administrative settings, business application settings, but it also has like your security settings that you can work with as well. So one of the items that we're going to see down in here is we'll see those security roles. So in here, when we go ahead and click on security roles, we'll see all the different security roles that are associated with it. And the two main ones that you'll see in here are your field service administrator role and your field service resource role. So anybody who's going to be utilizing the new mobile application out in the field is going to need to have this role associated with their account. So if you go ahead and click on field service resource, then you'll just need to go ahead and add that user. So you'll go ahead and hit add people. Once you have add people in there, you can then define the user that you want to utilize, and then they can go ahead and start working with the application once they've downloaded and installed it. Now, the other thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that the roles that you want to work with have also been added to the app itself. And so this is a little bit different to go in and kind of set app permissions. So in this case, we're actually going to go back to the old UI. So what I've basically done here is just opened up any Dynamics 365 first party app. In this case, I opened the resource scheduling, which is part of the resource scheduling scenario. And I'm just going to come over here into settings. And I'm going to go into my advanced settings, which is, again, going to bring me into pretty much the same equivalent of what we just saw when we were going in and assigning those security roles. It's just kind of the older UI or way of doing this. And one of the options that we'll see in here is the apps area. And in here, this will show you kind of all the different apps that you have installed in your environment. And it'll show you what specific client these apps are going to be utilized in. So over here, you'll see the field service mobile application. And what we want to do in here is we want to go ahead and click on this and then hit manage roles. And so what this will do in here is this will show you all the different roles that are associated with this particular application. And you just want to verify that the field service administrator and the field service resource role are the two that are defined. And then obviously, if there's any other roles that you would like to have, you'd want to turn those on as well. But by doing this and making sure that the users have the necessary field service resource role, now you're ready to go ahead and start creating and working with the application. Once you've verified, permissions and resources, and you've got all of that information set up, now anybody who has the field service role associated with them can go out and download the application. So they can go out to their app store. They could just do a quick little search for field service. And what I would recommend as well is just also putting in Dynamics, because the actual new name of the field service mobile application is this field service and then Dynamics in parentheses. And then you're just going to go ahead and download this onto your device. So once you've downloaded this, then you'll be able to go ahead and start the configuration process of setting it up inside your application. So you'll go ahead and click on open, and it'll walk you through just a quick little configurator. It's going to make sure that you sign in with whatever credentials are associated with this login information. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. I'm going to use my account. It'll go through the authentication process, and it'll go ahead and sign me in accordingly. Now, once you're signed into the application, you'll have access to all of your information that you may want to work with. So you'll be able to see bookings, activities, work orders, and so on and so forth. One of the first things that I noticed when I came in is I wasn't necessarily seeing what I was anticipating seeing, because this is actually hooked up with a production environment that we use that we don't necessarily have all the field service stuff configured in. Most of the field service stuff that we use for training purposes and demo purposes are in actually a sandboxed environment. So one of the things that you can actually do when you go into here is I can come into this kind of reconfiguration area. And in the reconfiguration area, I'll see different options around field service and field service mobile and those options. If I come over here, after I come into the reconfigure area and I click on my little drop down option and it shows me my information, one of the options that I'll see in here is to show non-production apps. So when I go ahead and switch this to show non-production apps, now I will actually be able to see all of my instances or environments that have field service and the field service mobile app configured and ready to go. So this is actually the one that has all of my necessary work orders and information based upon that stuff. So now I can go ahead and I can click on this and I can see, oh, okay, here's all of the information. So that was one of the first things that I kind of noticed when I first came in here. So I just wanted to let everybody know, if you need to do that, just go into your area, do your reconfigure, click on the little settings option, go in, and then point it to the right instance. So now I can see here is my application. And one of the nice things about this is it does have the capabilities to show me everything that's going on from a work order perspective. Not only can I see information for today, but I can see information throughout the entire week. So depending upon what the situation looks like, I can drive in and at any point in time go look at any of this information accordingly. So if I open up this AdventureWorks, this will look very similar. So if you're coming from using kind of the old field service mobile application, this is going to look somewhat familiar as you start moving through conceptually, because it's the same kind of concept. So it's still going to have kind of that combined view that's going to take all the information from a booking perspective, as well as a work order perspective, customer information, service-based information, so products and services, and it's going to take all that into something that you can work with. So in here you can see kind of my generalized information where it's talking about, that the fact that it's scheduled. I can actually, if I go out and I switch to traveling or on break, I can go ahead and change these statuses just like I would do if I was working with this inside kind of the traditional field service application. If I go into the customers area, now I have all of my customer information. I can see where the account is. I can see address information related to that account, and I can actually see, if I have the map functionality turned on, I can see where that customer is located. Using the get directions, I can go directly in and I can see where this particular customer is located, and I could actually go to and see how long it's going to take to get to that item, and I could share out location information from there. If I select field service up at the top, now it's going to bring me back into the field service application. Now, additionally in here, I also have the ability to just kind of look at, traveling distance. So as I'm going through, I can actually see, miles traveled and duration, and I can update that information accordingly. And I can utilize that information when I get out and start to work on some of the ticket-based information. As I click on service, I can see, just kind of like I would see in the normal application itself, I have what information we're working with. So this is really going to be a lot of the same subgrid functionality that we'd be working through. So I can see any service tasks that are associated with this. I can see any products that need to be installed as part of this, and I can also see any services that we are going through. So not only can I see like my to-do list or my service tasks, so you need to do these 4 things, but I can also go down and I can see what specific services related to this item that we're going through, and if there was an incident that was used to create this item, I can see incident-based information from there. As I scroll through the remaining part of the services, I can see all of the relevant sub-order status information or items that I need to work with accordingly. As I dive into any one of these individual situations, because this has been divided specifically for the mobile application, I now have the ability to leverage a lot of the controls that are available to be able to adjust statuses of these items very quickly. So I can go ahead and change the progress from 0 to completed. I can then go ahead and save this information, and it will automatically update the task appropriately, and I can then see that information on the application. Navigate back to the service, and then I can work through the individual items from there, and I can see at a glance what we're looking at in regards to percentage of the items that has come through. Now, one of the key things that people often liked about the mobile application from a field service standpoint in the past was the fact that we could go out and we could get like signatures and do some of that stuff. So you do still have that in the new mobile application. I can come over here and now I can take advantage of the timeline scenario. So you'll notice that I can actually do notes where I can take pictures, I can do video notes, I can even do voice recording notes. So as the technician working out on site, I can take voice recorded notes based upon what's happening. I can also go down into the signature area, and just like I would have been able to in kind of the previous mobile application, I would have been able to take signatures and collect signature information from there. So from a work order perspective, it really does give you a lot more capabilities to be able to dive in and see kind of specifically what's going on inside the application. So what else do you have the ability to do with the application? Well, because it's based off of the Power Platform model-driven app functionality, really you have the ability to kind of do what you want when we start talking about access to entities. So for example, if I come up into my menu, I can see in here that the entities that we've chosen to make available are things like bookings and activities and work orders and products, but through just some simple customizations, which I will actually show you in another video, you can actually go in and customize this entire sitemap to define what specific entities you would want to have displayed in the application. So if there's things out there that really would work well, you would be able to add that stuff relatively easily into the application. Now, because it's also a model-driven app, we have a lot of the same recent functionality. So I can come into here, and if there's items that I recently worked with, I can see that list of recent information, and then I can actually choose to pin that information accordingly, and I can bring that stuff kind of right into my application. So as I pin it, now I can very easily access the pins and provide myself with a quick way to navigate to whatever that particular option was that I found beneficial based upon the information. So it gives you a little bit easy way to tailor once you're in the application from a user standpoint to what's going to work best for you. Now at the same point, one of the advantages to the other field service mobile application was the fact that we could do things like offline access, and was the fact that we could, interface with applications like remote assist, and we still do have that functionality in the new mobile app as well. So if I come down on the bottom and I click to where it says more, I can see that I have a lot of other options in here as well. So if you're an organization that does have remote assist and you have chosen to integrate remote assist with field service, you can go ahead and access remote assist, and here you can see any contacts inside remote assist that you might be willing or able to reach out to and try to touch base with them while you're out on site. So you still have that same capabilities to be able to access a lot of the remote assist options that were available. There are also other settings that you can modify. If we come back to kind of our main navigation, you'll notice in here towards the bottom that I also have cloud-based scenarios. This is where if we have offline information, this is where I can turn on and I can work with offline scenarios. And when we get into some of the configuration pieces in the next video, I'll show you actually how to set up some of the offline status stuff that you can do. But if we come into here, we'll also see underneath offline status, this is just your settings. So obviously the key thing with any mobile application is being able to understand what's going on within the organization. And so obviously you can base your information based upon your time zones. You can modify your records per page, because again, this is still utilizing a lot of the same model-driven functionality. So a lot of the same settings that we were able to work with in other scenarios, we can utilize from here. We also could turn on location information. So this allows us to do location tracking information. If we want to have access to the photo library, we can access the photo library from within here. So we can make sure that those photos can be added up into what it is that we're working with. And we also have settings around video recording, microphone enabling, and toast notifications. So it really does give you a lot of options to now access and perform some of the work that we've done in other scenarios within the context of a native Power App driven application. Well, that'll do it for this first video at taking a look at the new mobile app. Stay tuned very shortly for another configuring the new Dynamics 365 Field Service mobile app video coming very soon. For all of us here at 365.training, this is Derek saying, take care everybody and have a good one.